Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee with Craig. It is Friday, which means that the weekend is a mere 8 hours away. Oh, happy day. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about, well, obviously, just about everything, it seems like, in the news is related one way or another to either the national anthem or it's related to what happened in Las Vegas. So, needless to say, we're going to talk about something related to Las Vegas. A good friend of ours, you may know this individual. Her name is Kate Brown. She is the governor in the state of Oregon. And needless to say, in typical fashion, just like most good liberals, she's not going to let a good massacre go to waste or a good tragedy go to waste. She is now proposing for the state of Oregon. Their legislative session is going to be coming up. It's a relatively short one. It's only 35 days. But she's going to be proposing, once again, I'm going to clarify. They're not new firearms restrictions. They're not new gun control measures. They're gun control measures that were introduced last year, but, oh, by the way, failed to pass in the Oregon legislature. So before we talk about her proposal, why don't we let Channel 16 kind of share with you what her proposal is.
In the wake of the Las Vegas massacre, Governor Kate Brown is revitalizing her efforts for gun control legislation. NBC 16's David Caltabiano has been following the story for us and joins us live in the studio now with more. David?
John, in a statement, Governor Kate Brown says she wants to close what she calls loopholes in the current gun control legislation. Every time she's tried to do that, though, it's failed. And even after 58 people lost their lives to gun violence in Las Vegas, a state representative who calls Springfield home fears it won't be any easier to make those changes to gun legislation.
This isn't just Republicans against Democrats.
Gun control is back on the forefront for Oregon legislators like Representative John Lively of Springfield. Days after the Las Vegas massacre, Governor Kate Brown says she's focusing on gun violence prevention measures for the next legislative session, which is only 35 days long.
We, as lawmakers, must put politics aside and work together to keep our communities safe.
Governor Brown wants to close what she calls loopholes in current gun laws. Earlier attempts have failed to pass several times.
We've been unable to get the votes.
The governor's first step, closing the Charleston loophole. Named after Dylan Roof in the Charleston, South Carolina shootings, experts say Roof was prohibited from buying a gun, but got one anyway because of a background check error. In a statement, Governor Brown states to keep a person who is prohibited from purchasing a firearm unless and until the Oregon State Police can determine they are eligible. In other words, extend the background check period until a review by state police.
We might be able to be successful with the Charleston loophole. There's more ambiguity about the boyfriend loophole.
Governor Brown's statement also says closing the boyfriend loophole would update the definition of a domestic violence offender to match the definition already in Oregon law and add persons convicted of misdemeanor stalking to those prohibited from purchasing firearms. Lively says that pretty much means domestic violence offenders won't be able to buy a gun, and maybe stalkers too.
Well, yeah, maybe we could agree to this, but is that you're just going to keep going until we confiscate people's weapons? Nobody's talking about doing that.
Lively says many opponents of this proposed legislation is afraid their Second Amendment rights will be taken away. Even though gun violence took more than 50 lives in Las Vegas, Lively wouldn't be surprised if gun control laws failed again, especially during a short legislative session. And that next legislative session is next February. Like we said, that's only a 35-day session, a very short session to change some very controversial gun laws.
So a short amount of time. What happens if they can't get it done in those 35 days?
Well, then they reconvene in February of 2019, and that's after elections already taken place. So you might see some new faces trying to bring that battle or support the gun laws that we have today.
All right, David, thanks.
So, all right. So let's just get this straight. So, nothing that is being proposed, nothing that has been offered in this particular piece of legislation would have done anything to keep what occurred from occurring. Not one thing that neither one of the proposals that they're discussing, either the issue dealing with domestic violence or the background check issue, would have done anything to prevent what happened in Oregon. Not in Oregon, in Las Vegas. But what's even sadder about it is that when you consider exactly what these bills are, because first of all, these guys who call themselves reporters don't even know, they don't know what the bills did, right? For example, one of the issues with the background check bill was it basically said that you would be prohibited indefinitely until the state police figured out whether or not you were able to purchase a firearm. In other words, if the courts messed up and didn't have the information right, if the state police just were backlogged and didn't do their job, your right to keep and bear arms would be indefinitely postponed until they decided, for some reason or another, that they wanted to, in fact, do their job. Well, that's not constitutional. You don't have a right to just withhold someone's rights just because, you don't know how to do your job. Just because the state is inept at doing their jobs, they want to keep individuals from being able to exercise their constitutional rights. That's like saying we're going to just lock you up in jail, right? And we'll let you out, once we have time to process all your It may be a few months before we actually charge you with something, if we charge you with anything at all. But hey, you know what? That's just the way it is. You lose your rights, well, because we say so. I think it's important to recognize, and this is what these, and what I loved about this particular report was the attitude of, well, 58 people lost their lives in Las Vegas, so we've got to pass these laws that have absolutely nothing to do with what happened in Las Vegas. And he made it sound so matter of fact, like it was just so obvious. He is such, I'm sorry, but you know what? There are many of those in the media are just such morons. And this is a perfect example of someone who knew absolutely nothing but chose to be outraged and then looked for something to support that outrage. And the guy Lively, he was the exact same way. He's like, well, we need to do something. Nobody's talking about banning guns. No, we're talking about banning parts of guns. Oh, in California, we're banning guns. And Californians keep moving to Oregon, so if Oregon is eventually going to start talking about banning guns, and yes, they have talked about banning guns, but no one's talking about banning guns. No, stop lying. We know you're lying. We know that your goal, if you had your way, you would make it so no law-abiding citizens would be able to own or possess a firearm, that they would be completely and utterly removed from their ability to be able to defend themselves. Because, yeah, you'd get rid of tasers, too. If you could get rid of knives over a certain size or under a certain size, you would do that, too. You would go out of your way to make sure that law-abiding citizens do not have a right to defend themselves. In the meantime, criminals will constantly have the ability to be able to attack and destroy and take people's lives. Why? For two reasons. One, they're not going to obey the law when it comes to firearms. And number two, you're going to keep letting them out on the streets. That's just how it is. We see you for who you are. Just saying. I know, go ahead. Oh, that's not who I am. That's not what I'm about. That may not be what the average Democratic voter is about. But I definitely know that's what the average Democratic politician is about. Yeah. Law-abiding citizens, you're the criminals. People who commit violence, people who shoot people in crime, in gang activity, and in drug activity, yeah, no, they're victims. That's how you guys see it. Anyway, let's see, what do you folks have to say about this particular subject? Let's see, we have Rob George says, nothing like a tragedy to motivate the gun control proponents. I haven't heard anything from the California legislature recently. We should, where'd you go? There you go. Should we be concerned? Well, the California legislature is not in session at the moment. So at the moment, there's nothing to be concerned about. Quite frankly, I don't know what is left to propose in the state of California, but trust me, if there's something, they'll find it. They'll find it, and they will propose it. I think we do need to be concerned about what's going on nationally. Right now, we're looking at Republicans who are joining into, or actually introduce their own version of a gun ban, I'm sorry, not a gun ban, but a firearm accessory ban. Anything that would allow you to increase the rate of fire of a firearm, Republicans not all, but a bunch of them, Republicans in Congress now want to ban. H.R. 3999, we'll be talking about that a little bit later today, so you guys tune in. We'll talk a little bit about exactly what that measure is and the problems with it. But I did want to make sure that you knew that that's where we need to be concerned right now, because right now there's a lot of pressure on Washington, D.C., and a lot of people who claim to be on our side, who claim to believe in the Second Amendment. Well, hey, they're not necessarily willing to stand up for the Second Amendment. Once again, they're the ones that are proposing gun bans. I know, yes, it is sad. It is dreadfully sad, but that is exactly what's going on. Cesar says they can't stop crazy. Exactly. You cannot legislate. You cannot legislate morality. You cannot legislate away evil. Evil has been around since the beginning of time under every form of government. All you can do is punish it when you see it. When it comes out and it happens, all you can do is take those people and remove them from society in the most expeditious way possible. Gun control laws are violent, says Tommy Clark. I completely agree. At least, at the very least, gun control laws incite violence. Look at every place. Hey, look at every place where gun laws are strict, and you'll see a large amount of gun violence. And who's committing the gun violence? Generally, it's not law-abiding citizens. It's not the people who would be covered under these laws. It's the criminals. It's the criminals who are in gangs and selling drugs. But you don't want to go after gang members. You don't want to go after drug dealers. Them you want to let out on the streets. It's not the people. It's people who are going in and forcibly robbing homes. No, you don't want to. They're okay as far as y'all are concerned. The rest of us. It's the rest of us that are the criminals. Adrian says, just the way we have a special unit for everything like SWAT, FBI, CIA, and many more, we need a special unit for our government. They took an oath to protect the Constitution, not infringe on rights. They need to go to jail. At the very least, they need to be called to question and removed from office because of their violation of their oath of office. You don't have to agree with the Second Amendment to follow it. You don't. Agreement is not a requirement to compliance. When you took an oath of office to defend the Constitution, in state of California, or Oregon, wherever you're at, but it's to defend the state Constitution and the federal Constitution. That's your job. And I realize and I get that, you want to pick and choose. You want to be, what I like to call cafeteria constitutionalists. Look, here's the deal. It's all the Bill of Rights or none of the Bill of Rights. That's it. You got to choose. Either you believe in the Bill of Rights and the Constitution or you don't. And if you don't, there's a way in which you got to do it. There's two ways in which you got to do it. The first is you got to amend the Constitution. There's a way to amend the Constitution. Good luck with that, but you got to amend the Constitution. The other way is armed revolution. And seeing as how you guys don't like guns, I don't exactly see how that's going to work out for you. Anyway, just my 2 cents. Let's see. We have any more interesting comments here? Chris says, of course, they get this idea from California. Yeah, they do. Unfortunately, California, we export a lot of things, and not all of those things that we export are good. That includes some of our public policy ideas. California it's the land of nuts. I don't know what to tell you, but I'll just tell you this. I was born here. I was raised here. God willing, I'll die here because, once again, this is my home. And, to those who say, well, you should just leave, let me just tell you. Would you surrender your home if the enemy was coming to take it over? That's what I'll ask you. Anyway, take one more. He said, Philip says, I read that one of Obama's aides proposed Democrats create a buyback plan and seize all firearms. Give no one a choice. So in other words, seize it, but make sure you actually pay them for their firearms. Yeah, I don't know if he proposed that at all. I really don't. I don't know about that rumor, but there are some people who, if they had their way, yes, they would take your firearms and definitely would not make sure that you got compensated for them. Anyway, folks, I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. Hey, want to let you guys know, got a couple of special things, the new things that are going to be coming up. One is we're going to be doing the Battle of the Day. Now, the Battle of the Day is going to be a live feed. I'm going to talk about the various different, each day I'm going to try and talk about a different bill that's up, try and give you some information and help connect you with how you can make sure your voice is heard on that. The other thing is that Coffee with Craig is now going to be taking place on the weekends, on Saturday and Sunday. Now, it'll be pre-recorded. Sorry, I'm doing my thing on the weekends, but you have a chance to actually, I just figured, you guys enjoy Coffee with Craig, and you drink coffee on the weekends. So why should your coffee be without Craig? Yeah, I'm going to bug you on the weekends. But you don't have to watch. I'd like for you to watch. And remember, hey, share these videos. Share. Like and share. Get people connected. Let's be prepared. Let's go. We've got a lot of work to do right now. I know it seems like, here in California and all the state legislatures, the legislative session's over, but there's work going on in D.C., and as I've always told you, we can't do it without you. So, have fun this weekend. Be safe. Stay active and stay free.